Sardana, majorly into extreme adventure stuff. When I was a child, I had never thought of, getting into adventure. In fact, when we used to see on the TV people doing base jump and stuff, I used to say myself, I said, what crazy people are they? I mean, why do they do it? I was the fourth child in a family in Jammu. Being the youngest, I was the most pampered and always loved, always wanted care, attention from my parents and my siblings, of course. And then my family is a very, very traditional family. In fact, the women of the house, they are not allowed to go out and work. In fact, in case I had to go out with my friends or somebody, one of the person from the family used to accompany me all the time. So it was that bad. And that was the time when I never realized what freedom is. And I didn't know what freedom is. So I was enjoying that kind of life, and I never wanted to leave that life and get into marriage and stuff. So when I did my graduation, after that I got married to an Indian naval submariner officer. So when I got married, just few days after that, there was a walkathon, which was from, that time we were posted in Visakhapatnam, and there was a walkathon from Naval Park to Rishikonda Beach. That was around 45 kilometers. And my husband was taking part, and as it is newly married, I wanted to be with him. And I got enrolled in that walkathon. And to my own surprise, I walked 45 kilometers. And that was the first time I ever, did something like that. And that was the time when my husband got an idea what all I can do. So his idea about, again, honeymoon was to take me to Darjeeling and enroll in a 15-day adventure course. So I used to hate getting up at 5 in the morning, and I wanted to leave that time. But then there was a thought which came into my mind, and that was, can I give up? Is it the time, the opportunity I'm getting? Is it better to give up? And there was one more thought which came into my mind. That was, is the limit only limited to where I was that time? Or can I do better? So next 2 days I gave in my best, and somehow thereafter I never looked back. Then after that it was mountaineering course in Uttarkashi. Again, my husband behind this, he had this weird idea that if you're able to do this 28-day course, going through pregnancy and childbirth would be a breeze. And somehow I did qualify that 28-day course. And when my son was born, I realized that that 28-day course was much more tough than going through labor. So that was the time, I started enjoying basically the adventure. And then he again had this weird idea that all the problems in life only starts when you stop doing something brave. So if you're not getting anything, just go to a swimming pool and dive from that 10-meter board. So that will keep your life going. Generally, whomever I met who wants to get into extreme adventure, they have this thing in mind that, people can get into extreme adventure only if they suffer. But that has been very different with me, because when I did my first skydive, that was the feeling of profound joy. I mean, through my work, I bring joy, happiness, and the freedom in a person. So, once you dive, you feel so, there's nobody around. If you jump from an aircraft, you have to take your own responsibility. Nobody will be around. And that gives you more of mental power. So jumping off from a perfectly safe aircraft seems to be very, 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 very crazy thing to do. What happens initially when you start jumping, the fear factor is very high. If you have to see from here, you go in a aircraft and you have to come out and see your drop zone, where you're going to jump. That's pretty scary. And then you jump, and the fear factor is, of course, very high, and the fun factor is very low initially. But eventually, when the number of jumps increase, the fear factor slowly decreases, and the fear factor decreases, and you start enjoying the adrenal rush. So, as there were not adequate facilities in India for skydivers, I had to go all the way to US to do my jumps. Because this was one thing which I had learned and it was very difficult. It was not that easy, that I never wanted to give up. And in this, you can't take long gaps and you have to be current. Otherwise, you have to start all over again. And I was not prepared for that. So every time I used to go, maybe, do 50, 100 jumps and come back. And then after this, it was like, now what? So got into base jump. That's the most extreme adventure sport. That is base jumping, when you jump from buildings, antennas, bridges, or wherever you get, the lower height, you just take a parachute and jump. So unlike skydiving where you have two parachutes, base jump has only one parachute, and you jump from very low heights. And the reaction, when you're jumping from the plane, at least you have some altitude. If something goes wrong, you can always do your procedures and you can be safe. But in base jumping, there is no time. Within 5 seconds, you are down. So as the reaction time is very limited, so in this, more accidents happen and people die more than getting injured. In the whole world, there must be only 200 base jumpers. So I'm one of them, and I'm feeling so good about it. So again, when I was I was handed over the tickets and, tickets, passport, and the list of goals which I had to achieve again in US. So this time I had to go and become the woman base jumper of India. And my husband, he came to drop me in a car. And little I knew that he's already sold off that car just to fund my trip, along with the motorbike. And rest is a history where I came back as the only woman base jumper of India. And not only that, I was the only Indian who have jumped in KL Tower with the Indian flag. So by this time, I had, tasted the adventure stuff basically, and I never wanted to give back. And it had become my dream. So this dream had its own set of obstacles, like it was difficult, I had to travel, I had to leave my kids, a lot of things were there. But rather than eternalizing the obstacles and giving them power, I just fought back and made the dream my reality. And then in 2010, we went for again a family holiday to Andamans. And there now this time I have kids, they wanted to get into scuba diving. And with them, they wanted me to join them, in learning how to scuba dive. But then I had fear of water again. Whenever you learn something, there is unknown fear. You don't know what will happen, but there is some kind of fear which you have to overcome. So I was like, okay, so let me do it. And scuba dive, again, you had to push your limit. And what is a limit basically? Everybody has a limit, right? And what is it? Have you ever thought about it? What is a limit? No. It is basically what our mind has been trained to take as the highest score. The score which limits us. The score which restricts us. So if we have to go beyond our limit, we have to increase our limit. We have to work on that. We have to work on our minds. And nobody else can do it. And now I knew that my limit is, I have to cross my limit, and I have to get into scuba diving and be with my kids. So I tried, and somehow I did scuba diving. So when I was diving, the first dive was like it left me completely ecstatic. When I came on the surface, I was shouting before catching my breath. And then the second dive was like, there was little feel of relief, and then again that feel of acceleration, again it came. The third dive, I was thinking, oh, what am I doing here and why am I doing here? A lot of people have this thing in mind, oh, why? That why is, very common. Then it was like, but I never wanted to give up because that was one thing what I've been doing, just crossing my limits. So I just pushed myself, to a limit where I became the master scuba diver trainer. And for me, push was persist until something happens. And then I kept pushing, 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 and got this degree from PADI, that is Professional Association of Diving Instructors USA. So after that, you get confidence, you get everything, you've already, done something. So I did that, I unfurled the flag in the ocean. That was 60 feet off Port Blair. So as it is, it had become a symbolic thing for me to, as it is, I had flown the tricolor for for skydiving and base jumping, and this was again now skydiving. So now I realized that whatever I am doing now, it is because your mindset becomes like that. It is all mind game. It is not that whatever I've been doing, I have come across certain accidents where one of the thing was I was jumping in Arizona, and as usual I jumped and I was very happy, freedom and everything was there. And all of a sudden, I opened my parachute and I was like, I'm not getting that pull. When the parachute opens, you get that pull, And I'm like, I'm not getting that pull. And when I looked up, it had not opened. And I was like, when you jump, you fall like a stone. And I could see that, the land coming to me very fast. So I was like, okay, no problem. I did my emergency drills. And when my parachute opened, it was around 700 feet. And everybody there thought that I will not survive because the way you fall, it is very, very difficult. But then these extreme adventure teaches you how to take care of yourself. You become very relaxed. You can take your responsibility. You can fight it out anything and everything. You become fearless. So now after scuba diving, what I thought was scuba diving changed my life as none other sport because I opened my own scuba diving academy in Delhi 4 years back, and where I have trained disabled divers and hundreds of school kids. So doing all that adventure, scuba diving is the only thing which you can start at the age of 8 years. And the younger you get into adventure, the more better you become. Your mindset changes, your perception about life changes. So this has happened with me. Though after marriage, but then still it happened. So why have I given my life to all this, extreme adventure? Because one thing I realize, how precious freedom is. Freedom in the world is your canvas. You can do anything. If your mindset is very clear, if you know how to come off your comfort zone and do things, you can achieve anything and everything in life. So it is not that whenever I start anything new or I'm learning, there's no fear. Fear is still there. So when that thing comes, I always read the quotes from Mark Twain. That is, 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed with the things you did do than the things you didn't do. So throw away your bowlines, sail away from your safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails, explore, dream, discover. Thank you.